You're like, Josh Sweat's on the banner? What are we doing?
We only have one big banner here, and it's Jalen Hurts and Josh Sweat.
Right. Josh Sweat,
Darius
Saquon,
Slay, and
A.J. Brown, Darius Slay. I mean, all of them.
Not that we needed to slander
Josh Sweat's awesome.
Sweat.
Oh, yeah, baby. What's up? It's Chris Simms. It's Chris Simms Unbuttoned. Ahmed Fareed is here. Super Bowl 59 is in the books. It's in the grave. It's done. The Chiefs are 6 feet under. I'm going to put them to bed some point in the next week, certainly. Yeah, it's definitely. Man, and how dare we disrespect Josh Sweat a week from ago? How dare they put him on the banner? It's like they knew. They were like, he's about to show some people that he can kick some ass coming off the edge against the Kansas City Chiefs.
First thing I thought about when he made the first sack, and then he does it again, then he's involved again. I'm like, how do they know that?
It's part of the script.
Yeah.
You didn't know? That was why they put him there. They knew it. There's the banner.
There it is.
Right? All the famous players that are on the Philadelphia Eagles certainly understand Jalen Hurts on there.
Yeah.
I still will sit here and go, I don't think Josh Sweat would be the top 5 in most people's pecking order as far as Eagles stars that make it on the banner. But nonetheless, a bigger point is that's how good the Eagles are. You can get past the top 5 or 6 or 7 guys on the football team and get to people like Josh Sweat and go, damn, he's really good too. He's the 8th best player on their team, the 10th best player on their team.
Yeah.
Butt whooping by the Philadelphia Eagles yesterday. Kind of disappointing, kind of anticlimactic for a football fan like myself.
Right.
Sad day as it is anyways. It's the last Sunday of the NFL season. And for it to be over with 4 minutes left in the second quarter hurt my soul, okay? But good to see you, by the way.
Good to see you, too. I mean, really, that does it. There's really not much else to say.
See you guys later. That was Chris Simms Unbuttoned.
The shortest one. We have a lot of time to talk about everything else.
Yep.
So, I was sitting at home watching the game with my parents. My mom was rooting for the Eagles.
Right.
She wanted to see them get the Super Bowl, and she has an uncanny ability of mispronouncing anyone's name, so she was rooting for Saquon Barkley and
awesome.
the Eagles.
But
it was
sound
fun.
like we could be friends, me and your mom.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Maybe she listens to the pod a little too much.
I think I was on the couch at 2:30, right? I mean, like I had the
into the
pregame
pregame
on.
show. Okay.
Yeah, I had the pregame on as soon as it came on. I believe at 1. But I was on the couch by 2:30. And like, okay, it's 4 hours to kick off. But I'm going to sit here and watch just about every freaking second of the pregame show, other than maybe when I go outside for a quick smoky or something like that, which I'm also going to just watch through the window and like not take my eyes off it. I was excited as I could ever be for the Super Bowl. I really was, because you know how awesome I think the Eagles are and the Chiefs and the 3-peat, and I love Mahomes, and I do love Andy Reid and the story, and I'm certainly not sick of them, right? So I was very excited for what could be. And I really, the whole day was like, can Mahomes, I said this around my house the whole day, can Mahomes and them really beat them? Can they really do this? You know, my son walked in the room at one point, and I was like, man, Philip, can they do it? I hope this isn't the Bucs Super Bowl all over again, because it's got similarities, right?
You kind of felt that.
I felt it.
I mean, you picked the Eagles.
I picked the Eagles by 10.
You said they've been a dominant team. They're a super team.
Yes.
Better than the team 2 years ago.
If it weren't for, like, Mahomes' magic or the Chiefs being this outlier of a football team where, again, like we've joked about so much, they could play C-plus football and then just turn it on and go win the Super Bowl last year, right? So they're hard to gauge in what they are. But, yeah, I felt strongly in my heart, I think, as you know, since about, early November, that the Eagles were incredible and that there really was not a weakness there. So I was excited because of all the storylines. And then, can Mahomes really slay this beast of the Eagles defense? I saw him walk on the field pregame. And I was there with my daughter sitting next to me, her boyfriend, my son. And I was like, I was like calling out. I was like, watch what he's going to do. He's going to walk out there. He's going to go sit with the equipment guys on the bench. He's going to hang out there for about 45 minutes before he throws football. So they were like in amazement that I knew that, right? And I was like, well, guys, I've seen him do this like in person a bunch. But I said, he looks nervous. He looks more nervous than normal. And I know it's a Super Bowl, but I've seen him in other Super Bowls. And this reminded me of the Bucs, the look he had in his eye early on. And then, of course, that carried over to the game. The second drive of the game, I sat there and I was like, man, this is more than like I'm focused for the Super Bowl and I'm trying to stay in the zone. This is like, oh, crap, they're big. Oh, crap, we're overwhelmed. Oh, crap, what am I going to have to do, or can I even do what I have to do to try to carry this team to a Super Bowl today? And as we know, it never came to fruition.
Yeah, it was one of those days where you were wrong. You were right that the Eagles won, but you were wrong because you thought this would be the most competitive matchup in the Super Bowl, and that's what you want.
Yeah,
You've always said that. You want the most competitive matchup, so you should have been rooting for my Lions. You should have been rooting for the Commanders.
I wanted the Ravens. I mean, that would have probably been the most. I picked the Ravens before the playoffs. I don't think the Ravens lose like that, and no way. No way. Absolutely not. And again, this is where we can talk about this as we go, but this is the gift and the curse of being a great player and clutching moments and clutching situational football and never dominating a team all year, right? Those are things you don't usually see from a Super Bowl team. Wait, they never really dominated any one game the whole year except for maybe the Steelers on Christmas Day as they were falling apart, right? So that was odd in itself, and that's where the gift and the curse of Mahomes, you've heard me talk about it, but like LeBron at times and other guys that were great in years past, John Elway, right? Bringing teams that maybe weren't truly Super Bowl teams to the Super Bowl and then getting killed in the Super Bowl when you're like, he's the only guy that could probably got him there. And I feel that very similar sentiment with Mahomes in this.
Yeah.
But you thought, wait, they always find a way to win these games. So even though I picked them by 10, the Eagles to win, it was still like, I just can't ever count out. Even though everything in my football life told me, and you've heard me say it, that the Eagles are better basically at every position on the football field. The Chiefs are one of those teams that make you doubt things like that. And, of course, yesterday, all their flaws were brought right to in front of our faces. The kryptonite. You always face your team every year. That's the kryptonite. Unfortunately, they faced their team in the Super Bowl, and we saw that, Superman went down in a big way in this one.
Yeah, worst they've played all year, obviously,
Definitely.
for the Chiefs.
Right.
One of those things where, it's mind-boggling to
Worst
watch
they
it see
played,
it fall apart.
Best
like
team
that.
they played against, right? Made mistakes that we're not accustomed to. He was off early. Kelce was off, right? Then I also think the referees certainly gave the Chiefs a few bad breaks. Not that I think the Chiefs were going to win the football game.
They've been against them all year. So, I mean, that's really been the problem.
But not that I thought they were going to, win the game after what we saw. But some of those calls and things that went on early in the game could have delayed the inevitable, could have made the game a little more competitive, certainly. But either way, as the game went on, we just saw that one team was on a whole different level. It didn't matter who was playing quarterback. It didn't matter anything like that. The Chiefs were totally outclassed by a much greater team than the Philadelphia Eagles. It felt like old school 80s. Right? That's what it felt like. NFC, great team, and then these AFC had the quarterbacks, right? And the quarterbacks can't beat the team, and we saw the team win yesterday.
Clearly, we have some questions from the homies here. We got some stats. We got some storylines to get into on this game, and we'll dive deep into that. But let's give the Eagles their flowers here. That is the best performance in a Super Bowl since when? Like the most dominant performance?
I think probably the Seahawks over the Broncos, right? With Peyton Manning up here in New York when the Seahawks beat them 43-8. It was the greatest offense we had ever seen in Denver Broncos. Points scored, yards, right? Excuse me as I'm choking on myself. That was the year Manning had 55 touchdown passes, right in that range. But we
you think that was more dominant than this one?
I think it was right there with it. Yeah, I don't know if it was more dominant, but I'm just saying that's right there with it. Yeah. It literally felt like that game started off, if you remember, with the snap over Peyton's head.
Oh, yeah.
And then the next play was like he threw it over the middle and somebody got killed by Cam Chancellor. This game wasn't that far off. I mean, it was like from the get-go, it was, I don't like the way that looks with their defensive line and how quickly they got after Mahomes. And as we know, that was really the big theme of the day. The Eagles were amazing. Jalen Hurts won the MVP. He's certainly deserving of that. I still think the star of the day was the Eagles' defense.
There we go.
Right?
So
and that's where we are.
Let's start there.
Right.
And I do want to get into some stories from New Orleans.
Yeah.
Let's do that in our third segment.
Okay.
We'll save that for the end of the show because our table is still there partying in New Orleans. Couldn't get the table back from Bourbon Street.
He was like, screw those, screw Simms and Ahmed. We're going to hang here with the Eagles fans and have a few drinks.
I know you have some interesting stories, both with interviews of players. You always meet a bunch of people, some maybe you haven't met before. So I do want to hear some of those. We'll save those for the end of the show. show.
Cool.
But you led us into this one, and I think why it's so hard to believe that this happened to the Chiefs is because we said it last year. It's just like, oh, they can't just turn it on in the playoffs, and they turn it on in the playoffs.
Exactly.
Like, they're not this much better than everyone else, and they win the whole thing. So why couldn't they do it again? Well, because of that D. And while Jalen Hurts was the MVP, we'll give him his flowers as well later on. I mean, really, if you could give a true MVP to this game, it's the front four of the Eagles. They totally wrecked this game. I don't know if you disagree with that.
No, I don't.
Realistic Take says, damn okay to the Eagles D. For as good as they've been all year, it's almost like they got overlooked at times because of the stars on the Eagles O.
Yeah.
Absolutely dominant performance. The D-line caused havoc all game, made Mahomes shockingly rattled, looked just like that Super Bowl in Tampa.
Yeah, it did. It had a lot of similarities to that Super Bowl in Tampa. And yeah, this is why, I've joked around and said this Eagles team is an all-star team. I mean, you've heard me say that. It's position groups that are definitely the best in football.
But we didn't think they'd look that dominant.
No, I did not think they looked like that dominant. Not like they did last night. No, certainly. Josh Sweat certainly could have been an MVP last night.
Yeah.
With 2.5 sacks, and he's the guy that caused the second interception by Mahomes because he basically knocked Joe Thuney right into the back of Mahomes as he's throwing the ball, and that's why the ball went, off target and got intercepted by Zach Bond. So he was certainly capable of that. Ahmed, you've heard me say this too before. In games like this, right, this is where if you do have a defensive line and it's an alpha group, as we know, and they got freaks here. It's not like it's just like, oh, we don't know who this guy is or he has nothing special. Their backups are special. That's where they're in a different class than most teams. Their back four or their 5, 6, 7, 8 on the D line would probably start for a majority of teams in football, right? That's how good they are. And when you're told all week, right, like the Giants were in Super Bowl 42 against Tom Brady and company, right? Maybe like the Bucs were told against Mahomes the first time around. We can't win the Super Bowl unless you guys get there. We can't win the Super Bowl unless you guys get there. We can't win the Super Bowl if you guys got to dominate the game. And then, of course, you're hearing that every day in your meeting. You're watching film, right? And they're frothing at the mouth by the time the game gets here, let alone we're playing a Chiefs offensive line that hadn't been an issue for 2 years, really. The greatness of Mahomes covers the Band-Aids there, but then, of course, we have injuries on top of that this year, too. So the game starts with the front four. They don't blitz one time.
So here's the next-gen stats on that. The Eagles did not blitz once across 42 dropbacks in the Super Bowl. Just the fourth defense to not blitz in a game in the next-gen stats era. Relying on the front four, the Eagles generated 16 pressures, sacked Mahomes 6 times, his most in a game in his career. I mean, that
says it
the
all.
stat of the Super Bowl.
Ahmed, 4-man rush, and if you didn't look at the rush and you just saw Mahomes in the pocket and we just canceled it out, you'd go, they must be blitzing everybody. He's ducking everywhere. But no, it was a 4-man rush. Some of those were 4-man rushes against 6-man, 7-man protections, and they still were there in half a second. So, again, I know people are already on Mahomes and he's not the GOAT and all of that. This wasn't fair to Mahomes. That's what I would tell you. Been very few quarterbacks that have gotten to the Super Bowl and been in this situation with this caliber of team and offense and talent, and that's where it hurt him. But yes, that's where the game was incredible. The fact that you heard me say a million times, hey, the Eagles better play man-to-man. If they play zone defense, right, he's going to pick them apart. Well, I was wrong. I obviously didn't even realize how much better the Eagles were. Vic Fangio went back on film. He was like, no, Chris Simms, you're wrong. You're wrong. We can beat them doing exactly what I've been doing the whole year.
Yeah.
And actually be the simplest I've been in any game all year. Pete had the numbers already. I mean, it's cover 4. It's the same coverage 60% of the game.
Yeah.
Right? So that just tells you that they were wait, so we like our physical matchup and we don't feel like there's any way in any area where we feel like we can be exposed.
The Eagles played zone coverage on all but 2 dropbacks, specifically cover 4.
Yeah.
60% of the time, the third highest rate by a defense in a game since 2018. Highly unsatisfying if you're Vic Fangio. You win your Super Bowl, you're defensive coordinator, and it's like you don't have to do anything. You just sit there.
Yeah, well, this is where it became hey, coach my guys what to look for, right? We're going to be in this defense and play fast, and we don't need to trick it up against them because we don't feel like there's any area that stresses us. And why do they play cover 4, people might ask? Well, it takes away cover 4. The safeties are more up and in the middle of the field. So you do RPOs, right? And you're trying to hit that slant over the middle, and it ain't going to be there with the safety in cover 4. So that's not going to be there. It's going to make things hard for Kelce over the middle of the field a little too. A little like 10-yard in cut, all those. The safeties are going to be there. So that's tough. Let alone it can help out with the run game a little bit, which, again, was not even a factor in the game. Without blitzing and playing cover 4 with 2 safeties deep the whole game, they couldn't run the ball at all. That speaks, again, to the absolute ass-whooping. That I know you believe me. My third note of the game was the Chiefs look outclassed. I mean, the Chiefs are really in trouble. They are not physical. They are not in the class physically as the Eagles, right? So right away, I did not like the look of the game. And so they take away the RPOs, they take away that, and then the other aspect of cover 4 and where it says, you know what else it tells me? They weren't worried about one receiver. Because cover 4 basically becomes man-to-man on the outside. That's what it becomes because the safeties are worried about all those things I just told you about. So they're basically out there playing man-to-man, and that just tells you they were like, we're not worried about Hollywood Brown or Xavier Worthy or slow DeAndre Hopkins or Juju Smith-Schuster. We feel like we match up great with the 2 of those guys are small and fast that can't take any physical aspect of route running, and the other 2 guys are physical but can't run away from anybody. So they were like, this is great. Fine, we'll just stop over the middle stuff, and they won't be able to do anything, and that's kind of what we saw.
I do believe you. I do need the timestamps, though, on those texts just to make sure.
Okay, here we go.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
No, we're going to look, though. Not in physical class. That's 7:16.
Okay,
all right. That's 7:16. So we're probably about 3 drives in. 7:16.
Yeah, it's a little,
Eastern
7:16, yeah, we're 3 drives in.
I'm
glad I did check
funny.
that, actually. You're right. And obviously the pressure and maybe the fact that Mahomes knew he was going to be under duress most of the game caused him to be nervous. Like, I have not seen him, like, they're missing, like, him and Kelce were not on the same page. It just was like, it was an unlike Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce,
Definitely.
Whatever performance I've seen from them.
Like, the analogy I use, they were obviously off their game. But see, off their game usually is because you're uncomfortable about something. We've used the analogy sometimes where, like, in the NBA, there might be that defense that they're an unbelievable teams don't shoot well when they shoot 3-pointers against this team, and you're like, well, why? I mean, they're getting the shots off, but when you're on the court, sometimes it's like, oh my gosh, these guys are so big and they're so long and they're coming at me a little faster than any other team, and you start to rush things, or your mechanics aren't quite perfect because you're uncomfortable, right? Same thing happens in football. When you feel, oh my gosh, like the hole in the zone is like closing like this, and I got to be perfect. And within that too, holy shit, the pocket's collapsing like this too, right? So then it's like these quick plays where it's like, get it out. He's maybe rushing it even more because he's like, well, they're getting after me. The hole is going to close quick. Let me get it out, right? So it's all of like a compound effect of, again, what I think the Eagles and their greatness and the fact that the Chiefs had to be great and had to take chances and probably had to have the ball bounce their way once or twice to win the football game, and none of that went in their favor too, and that's what leads you to, basically a 40-6 blowout. You could say 22, but it was a lot of garbage time bullcrap.
The Zach Bond interception, he got hit on that one. That was what happened on the Cooper DeJean interception?
Cooper DeJean is nothing but Patrick Mahomes just being greedy. First off, we're in a part of the game, okay, where they're losing. We know that. It's 10-0.
But it's like, well, if they can score, if they can drive down here and score.
Right. So it's 10-0. Nothing's going well for them.
No.
Right? But now here it is. We get sacked on first down. We get sacked on second down. And now it's 3rd and 16, and he tries to force this throw. Now, what happened is, and if you watch here on the Next Gen Stats and what we got, Cooper DeJean, 33, does a great job of he looks like he's going to float under number 1, Xavier Worthy, right? He was moving that way. And I think that's what Mahomes saw. He saw, wait, he's underneath Worthy, so I'm going to throw it to the backside to DeAndre Hopkins, right? Yep. But he didn't follow Cooper DeJean all the way. Cooper DeJean, as he was floating that way, I'm sure he saw Mahomes' eyes now go back to the middle, and he stopped worrying about Worthy on the sideline, and he worked his way back inside, and Mahomes lost sight of him, and, of course, he made the interception. This is totally on Mahomes. This is not only was it not a great throw no matter what, I don't even think if Cooper DeJean doesn't touch it, it's not going to be complete. It's a bad decision. It's an unnecessary decision. Down 10-0 at 3rd and 16. It's 3rd and 16. It's the best defense in football. He knows better to take that chance in that moment right there. Punt the ball. Hopefully your defense can make things hard on them again, and maybe they punt or get a field goal or something, and then, hey, it's 13-10. We're still in this. But 17-10, that play right there, I don't know how you felt, but when he ran in the end zone, I went, I said this game's over. I just said this is over. They're not going to be able to come back from this.
I need to see that
you
text. I'm going to need to see that text, too, if you actually did that. Yeah, I thought it was getting to the point where it's like, wow, a lot of things need to go
It didn't
their
feel
way.
good, right.
It was like
Either
they
way.
need to turn this around somehow. Patrick Mahomes, after the game, said, appreciate all the love, support from Chiefs Kingdom. I let you all down today. He said to the reporters after the game, I take ownership in this loss more than probably any loss in my entire career because I put us in a bad spot.
Yeah, He's never blames anybody. He
Right.
always acts accordingly. Mahomes' worst move of his whole NFL career, I said this to Flory today, was being mad at Josh Allen after Kadarius Toney got called offside on that lateral play when he was like, the refs can't call that in that moment. That's the worst thing he's ever done on the football field.
Yeah.
He's beyond humble. He beyond takes the blame. He's taking the blame in this Super Bowl loss way more than he should. Way more. We could get Clark Kent, Superman, and Batman all out there. That game wasn't going to go good for the Chiefs at quarterback.
Too many men on the field.
Too many men on the field. But he's like, he's being, very nice guy. The first interception's his fault. The second interception, like you talked about, the one with Josh Sweat. I mean, the guy gets walked back into him. He's throwing the ball. Joe Thuney crushes him as he's throwing the football. And Zach Bond made a really good catch. But, yeah, Cooper DeJean was kind of it felt like the end of it. And then it was a 3-and-out by the Chiefs. And then they got the ball back. And then Mahomes threw the interception over the middle, which Josh Sweat affected. And they scored, 2 plays later with A.J. Brown. And you were like, wow, it's 24-0. I thought it was over at 17-0. Now it's really over at 24-0.
Yeah, and I found out, too, that Cooper DeJean and Saquon Barkley have the same birthday.
Same birthday,
wow,
right?
That was
Big day for them
and it was
yesterday.
22 and 28, so happy birthday to them. You take the Lombardi Trophy.
And it was different than the 28-3. Like, I know people were like, oh, this is his chance. Brady's in the booth. This could be 28-3 type comeback. The Chiefs, the Patriots in that game, if you go back and watch, they were capable of moving the ball. He threw a pick six. They moved the ball between the 20s a little bit, then had to take a sack and punt it or whatever. We were here in a moment late in the second quarter, and we were going, they have 20 yards of offense. It's the half's almost over. They've gotten 1 first down. This wasn't like, oh, they showed signs and, oh, they just dropped the ball or this. This was like nothing was working.
Total domination.
Total domination. And, those mistakes right there by the Chiefs offense, as we know, too tough to do against a team like the Philadelphia Eagles, who are just incredible football teams.
So Pete notes here in our rundown that this is a similarity here to that Seahawks and Broncos Super Bowl, the Seattle scheme all game. They could call the same coverage over and over again.
Right.
No offense
That's
is able
right.
to have success against them.
Yeah.
Thomas Penna said the Eagles defense so talented. It reminded me of the Legion of Boom.
Yeah.
And so Pete also wants to note here that the Bucs Super Bowl with Todd Bowles' game plan was so good because he resisted his inclination to blitz.
Right.
Bucs blitzed Mahomes 5 times and dropped backs in that game.
When you can have 4 and when you can rush 4 and drop 7 in the coverage, we talk about it a lot. It's a huge advantage.
They still got pressured 38% of the time.
It's insane.
With no blitzes.
That's insane. And it was really higher than that, right? Because we're taking away all the bullshit passes at the end of the game where really the Eagles were thinking about partying
That's
and what
true.
Mardi Gras drink I was going to have.
I know. They doused Sirianni, and I'm
Right.
like, they got another 10 minutes
I know.
to play.
I mean, right. I mean, so some of these stats that look a little bit better than they are not. They're
Yeah.
not. When the competitive game was there, and I think Pete told me this earlier, in the competitive part of the game, he was being pressured basically like 65% of the time, right? With
insane.
no running game. You can't even speak of a running game. I mean, they can't even attempt a run. After the second run of the game, you were basically like, don't run it ever again. They're never going to do anything. Just throw the ball every play. You're in deep crap. But, this is, I know you've heard me say this, but I'm going to say it one more time for the sake of the headline. This is the most physically gifted team in that salary cap free agency era. This is as good as any team we've seen roster, right? Just roster, I'm telling you. Since like the mid-90s Cowboys. This is an all-star team. Me and Florio talked about this last week. If you put the two teams together and we pick the 22 guys from both teams, right? 18 of them are going to be from the Eagles. I mean, really, it is. It's going to be like we're going to pick Mahomes and we're going to pick Chris Jones and we're going to pick Trent McDuffie and maybe Joe Toney at one of the guards. Yeah. After that, we're going to be like, no, I'm going to take the Eagle. No, I'll take the Eagle. I'll take the Eagle. That's what we're talking about. They're phenomenal. And you've heard me say all this, but I just feel like it needs to be said one more time.
No, and so, I mean, we're talking about a dynasty in the Chiefs. I mean, it sounds pretty clear that the Eagles are going to be your team next year. What would stand in their way?
No,
right? I know. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves right now, but they're
set up. I mean, and let alone they've been set up. I mean, what's more shocking? They won the Super Bowl this year, or the fact that they went 10-1 last year and fell apart? I mean, I still think that's more shocking with that team.
Yeah.
But their ability to bounce back and do what they've done, and they're going nowhere. They're still a fairly young football team. They still have a lot of assets and draft picks, and gosh, they know how to strike that balance of they're great at developing their players, and they find a free agent here and there just to help the football team. So, I don't think they're going anywhere. Their issues are going to be Kellen Moore replacing the offensive coordinator again and doing stuff like that.
Roster-wise, though, Howie Roseman,
absolutely.
obviously.
The genius.
And that's the part that bugs me, is that everyone has said that for a while with Howie Roseman.
Yeah.
Genius, and he's outsmarting everyone, and he's putting the money into and he was right. That's the thing that sucks, is that the guy that's smarter than everyone else or thinks he is actually was.
He is. He's the man. And I give them credit, too, for not abandoning ship on Nick Sirianni last year, right? I still we can all talk about Nick Sirianni. There's things that I appreciate about him, and I got a few chances to say that last week, is just the fact of him, their toughness, their attitude. They're like, F you, we don't give a shit about your three-peat. We're going to kill you, and we're bringing it today, right? That's Nick Sirianni. And usually good teams, like you've heard me say before, take on the personality of their coach, and they do with him. And they're a no-nonsense, no BS team, and they played like it and played their best football of the whole season just at the right time.
They take on his personality for better or worse sometimes, but that's a cool thing.
That is a cool thing.
They play
exactly
like
right.
that. That's how
exactly
they are.
Right.
So just in case there were any Chiefs fans that were still listening to this, which I don't know why there would be, let's eliminate them, because we got to show these graphics just because of how crazy it was on the first half offense for the Chiefs. We'll just kind of show these back to back, just so we can, for the history books, we can look at this, because I still don't.
It in context,
I don't
because some of these numbers are these numbers are eye popping when you look at it and put it in front of your face like this.
Fewest total yards in a first half in 133 Mahomes starts.
1 first down in the first half in the Super Bowl. 23 total yards, and let me just say, 11 of them were on the first play of the game, when he threw the ball over the middle to Juju Smith-Schuster. So half their offense came on one play. So the other whatever many plays they ran in the quarter, they basically went for negative, 0, nothing. There was no chance. Like I said, when you can rush 4 and play coverage and then still go, we don't care. Our defensive line, our 4 can stop your 6 in the running game. It's an incredible advantage that they had throughout, and you just saw them really do kind of whatever they wanted. And honestly, I don't even think they had to accelerate, right? I think they played a game on the offensive side of the ball, too, where they were like, wait, we don't need to take any chances. Yeah. That's why it wasn't like this great offensive showing, because I think they were like, wait, we're going to slowly beat them down.
Although they did early with a 4th and 2 from the 50, and I was like, I have won this debate with Chris. He was right about that. We're seeing it in the Super Bowl. All right, so Pete, Kristen, and Kelce back there. How about the worst losses in Patrick Mahomes starts? Tied for the 3rd worst loss for the Chiefs, and Patrick Mahomes starts here. Now, I would argue that this one stings a little bit more than Week 7 at Tennessee in 2021.
Yeah, I remember that. It was one of his worst periods of his career, though. He told me that personally.
But that's a bummer. 2 of your Two of your 4 worst games or biggest losses are in the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
now.
it is.
Now,
this is where context matters, right? Like the Super Bowl 55 against the Bucs. This is where, again, the greatness of Mahomes is going to hurt him in some of these conversations. If we went back and watched the last 8 to 10 games of the 2020 season when they lost to the Bucs, it was the worst pass protection of any team ever in the Super Bowl. They couldn't protect him for anything. Mahomes made it happen. He was making plays left and right, and he was the reason they got there, right? So that's what's rough. And again, this year, with the way they played, their offense, their weapons, hard to play that way. It's a short list of people that could do what he did this year and then get to the Super Bowl. Never mess up a clutch moment in any game the whole year, right? All of that. And this was too much, as we know. Too much, and that's sometimes the bad thing about, like you've heard me say with John Elway. Yeah. Some of those teams should have never been in the Super Bowl. They were there just because how great he was, right? Yeah. And this was a team that we questioned things about it all year, but we just kept going, I don't know. They got some inexplicable magic that I told you through 40 years of football I'd never seen before, and I don't get it. And, as we know, that magic ended.
Your Super Bowl MVP, the favorite was Patrick Mahomes. It is Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
Nelly Mo 2010 says,
Nelly
damn
Mo
okay.
2010.
Sirianni, Moore, Hurts. They look like they had a plan for the Chiefs' all-out blitzes, which I think gave them the edge with Saquon being kept quiet. And that's a crazy thing, right? I mean, Saquon averaged 2 yards a carry?
Yeah, nothing.
About that?
They stayed patient with the run. They stayed patient with it. But
2.3.
This again speaks to, look at the extent the Chiefs had to change the way they played just to stay in a game, which they couldn't even stay in. Right? That's the big thing. The Chiefs they looked uncomfortable in the game. And yes, I mean, our man at Neil Mo 2010, he's right. You see it. I mean, if we could show highlights here, I showed a few on Pro Football Talk today. I mean, the Chiefs have everybody at the line of scrimmage on certain plays. The long touchdown pass to Devontae Smith. I mean, there's no safety in the middle of the field. It's first down because they're like, we have to. They did a great job in that department. But at some point, the Eagles were like, wow, okay, if they're just going to continue to do this, we're going to have one-on-one shots. And you think about the first almost touchdown to Jahan Dotson that got them to the 1 yard line. They called it a touchdown and then, brought it back. Yep. I mean, that was man-to-man. He put a little move on the guy. Boom, wide open down the sideline. You think about Devontae Smith, touchdown, deep post, no safety, man-to-man, touchdown, right? We've got to worry about the run. A.J. Brown, crossing route, man-to-man, pick, wide open, touchdown, because we're worried about so many different things. I mean, we have a sprite chart, I believe, of Jalen Hurts, right?
You have not ponied up so we can show highlights here, but you paid enough so we can show the passing chart.
Yeah, I think it's
for
good
Jalen
to show here.
How much does it cost to do highlights, Pete? How much would Chris have to spend to be able to do highlights?
A few more billions of dollars from NBC.
All right. All right. So the passing chart for Jalen Hurts. Here it is.
Isn't that incredible? Is that incredible?
Protect the sidelines. Yeah.
Well, it just speaks to, first off, the Chiefs had 1 million people in the middle of the field because they were worried about the run, and we're going to try to stop that. The second thing was they were like, let's not even mess with the middle of the field. Why even take the chances there? And our guys outside, one-on-one, they can't cover them, and they're safe throws out there. Look at that. Isn't that incredible?
That is.
I mean, there's nothing down the middle of the field other than the post route to Devontae Smith, 40 yards down the field for a touchdown. Everything is along the sidelines. Swing pass to the back, little screen pass, back shoulders to A.J. Brown. They didn't have to. This is what they do. This is great for them. Oh, wait. I've made fun of them. You know that. Oh, go route, slant route, back shoulder, throw the ball up, jump ball. Well, this was like, hey, this is great. This is the kind of game we want to do. This is what we're great at. I'm a great deep ball thrower, and our guys can run away from their guys and catch deep balls down the football field. And, again, just another part of how good Philly is. Jalen Hurts playing that way. They're almost impossible to beat. If you told me Saquon Barkley was going to go for 65 yards, right, I would go, well, Jalen Hurts is going to have to throw for 350, right? That's what I would have thought. But we underestimated how much the Eagles' defense was going to dominate the Kansas City on that side of the ball and Kansas City's offense that, 220 yards passing and 65 yards rushing was enough to blow out, one of the greatest dynasties we've ever seen in our life.
So there are those now who say that Jalen Hurts has entered the conversation as one of the greats because he has now had 2 performances in Super Bowls.
Sure.
And if you just forget the fumble return for a touchdown, that was the play of the game in the first one, he played pretty well most of that game, and then here he is, your Super Bowl MVP in game number 2. What you say, Chris Simms?
He's a really good football player. I mean, am I sitting here, if you're expecting me to start saying he's an all-time great?
Yes.
No. He's been a part of a great football team. I mean, that's the plain and simple truth of it. Has he done a lot with that? Certainly. Is he a great leader? Is his story unreal? Do I have respect for him out the wazoo? 100%. 100%. I mean, benched at Alabama, goes to Oklahoma, drafted in the second round, got guys like me going, I'm not sure he can really play quarterback. He does that and then some. All of that. But just because you were a part of that team doesn't make you an all-time great now either. I mean, again, he's a part of a team that had the luxury of having games where he barely threw over 100 yards, a bunch this year, and they win those games, right? So that's usually not all-time status type of stuff. But is he clutch? Does he flinch in the big moments? Absolutely not. And he played really good last night. Knew where to go with the ball, was decisive with it. And other than the interception, right? That was the bad play. He didn't let bad things happen against the blitz. Mm-hmm. That was the big thing. Not that he was perfect against it, but other than that play, no disasters happen. And we see a lot of people have disasters against the Chiefs when they do crazy stuff.
Yeah, when he had over 2.5 seconds to throw, he was 11 of 14, 145 yards, 2 touchdowns, did not throw the pick in that situation. It did look like at times that the front for the Chiefs were, the front four were not – they were almost like playing spy because I would look at like Cam Jerkin sometimes just stand up and just like didn't have to do anything because they were giving him some time to throw. They just didn't want him to hurt him.
I think they were worried about him running. I think a few times they rushed and they were like, whoa, we can't get there, so let's just play like, where's he going to go? Maybe we can bat the football. But those numbers you just explained and talked about, I mean, again, it didn't take a brain surgeon to figure it out. I can remember about the 5th throw of the game, my wife going, oh my gosh, he's got all day to throw, right? I mean, this is not even. She said this is not even fair to Patrick Mahomes. That's what she said, and I was like, well, it's fair. This is. I checked the rule book. They're allowed to hit him, and they're allowed to protect their guy. Yeah, it's fair.
The refs will take care of this.
But yeah, between that and hitting those throws, and then like we said, I think avoiding disaster for the most part when Spags did do something great or crazy, and then also the few plays he made with his legs were huge. Right, every time you felt like, ooh, if the Chiefs can get a stop here or whatever, they either mess it up with a penalty by themselves or something, or Hurts did a good job getting a first down with his legs and kind of going, nope, you thought you had a chance. It's over. Sorry, it's over.
I mean, that game was over, right? I mean, it was. I will say this, and I don't have the timestamp or the text either.
Really
but I have a witness, Pete. Pete, we were in New Orleans talking about it,
yeah.
and I was leaving. Pete, do you remember this? And I go, you can see a scenario where the Eagles win this game in a blowout.
Yeah,
I was like, you really can't picture that for the Chiefs.
No, you couldn't. And I picked
Pete
38-20. I picked
38-28
with the Chiefs to win.
Yeah,
I said a lot of the
That's
things I'm
basically a
saying
blowout.
here.
Yeah.
It is. And I think you heard me say before we started the show, if it weren't for the Chiefs' so-called magic and this inexplicable thing they have, right? My eye on watching film and the things you've heard me say. And I usually don't come out and go, oh, this team's the best team in football unless I really believe it, right? My eyes said they were in another class. But it was like, wait, can Andy and Spags figure out some magic concoction again of a game plan? And then can Mahomes just be the clutchest guy in the world again? And you're like, well, yeah, I've seen him do it, so maybe he can. But as we saw early on, I don't know when the moment was for you. But it was, I think, Cooper DeJean at 17-0, where I wasn't like, it's over. But I was like, the nail, they at least put the nail like they nudged it in a little bit before it was like boom, 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 boom.
So, yeah, it was later for me. I think it was when at the end of the first half, it was just like, oh my God, they threw the pick. It's 24-0. I was like, but you know what? 28-3 happened. So I was like, you got Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
I think the moment for me, it was like when they were driving at the end of the first half, right? And DeAndre Hopkins was wide open, and it was
I don't know what he did.
I don't know what happened there.
That?
It just went right through his hands.
It's like he didn't even see it the right way. It's like he didn't play it the right way.
It was. I think that was the moment for me. I was just like, man, it really is not going to happen for them. Yeah, because I thought if they could score end of the first half, got the ball, started the second half, all right, now we got a game. But I was like, dang, it's going to happen.
No, it did not happen. And then, as we know, third quarter was a little bit of a stalemate. Nothing there, and then there came the deep post of Devontae Smith, and then you really knew it was over. And really, the emotions of the game were over, and it was just like, wow. Again, I was like, this is, I haven't, these are old Super Bowls. This is how I felt as a kid, where you just sat in the fourth quarter and you're just going, I'm just sitting here just waiting for the trophy presentation. I'm not really doing anything.
What'd you think about the refereeing in this game? Because I thought you and I have a similar view on that very first one. It was the 4th and 2 from the 50. They got that PI on Brown.
I was not. The refs got too involved for me early on in the football
you think they
game.
got too involved?
Well,
that was, but I thought
with
if you're just talking
Brown,
about that play.
The A.J. Brown specifically with that play. First, I know all the Eagles fans were going crazy. They didn't want that called. I heard Brady say it.
He didn't love it.
He didn't love it. But what I want to say first off is if the defense did that to the offense, there would have been 7 flags. So let's flip that around.
Yeah.
The other thing too is, like, A.J. Brown is one of the strongest humans. Like, run down the field. Just come over here to Connecticut and run down the field with me and let me stiff arm you in the face twice as we're running down the field. Tell me if you're going to be able to keep up with me. Like, what? That was pass interference. That was the right call.
Yeah.
Right? But after that, yeah, I thought the Chiefs got a little bit of the short end of the stick there.
The hit to the head on Goddard, you didn't think was a...
The one where McDuffie was jumping to get the ball, but seemed like it was a makeup call because they felt bad that the Eagles fans were mad that the A.J. Brown got made. I don't know. That was absolutely pitiful. The personal foul on Saquon Barkley on the whatever, was that a third down, I believe?
No, second and 23. It would have been 3rd and 23.
Right. It was going to be 3rd and 23.
26
something like that. I mean, uncatchable ball. Like, did Nick Bolton need to do that? No.
But it wasn't
But was it
egregious.
worthy of a 15-yard penalty and changing the dynamic of that drive in that game? No. So I didn't love some of that early on for sure.
Yeah, there was another play, too. It was a holding against the Chiefs when they were on offense.
Yeah.
And it negated a big play, I think. And you could tell, like, Jalen Carter, I don't know who the offensive lineman was, but basically pulled the offensive lineman
he
like
pulled
this,
him down.
got him off balance. And then as the offensive lineman's kind of falling, he holds Jalen Carter, and they call a hold on. I was like, oh, that's a sneaky move there. So it did seem like on balance.
It did. It felt
the
like
Eagles
the Chiefs
got more of the calls.
Definitely, but then the Chiefs did dumb stuff too,
Well,
lining up off sides on a few 2 drives in a row on the defensive side of the ball. They were not disciplined. They were not ready to go. One team was, oh gosh, we've never won a Super Bowl, and we lost to this team, and we're hearing a 3-peat, and they were just totally on the dotting the I's, crossing the T's, all over every little detail. And the other team looked like they just thought, hey, we'll just keep it close and work magic at the right appropriate time. And of course, that never even got close to happening.
I can't believe I forgot to bring this up. Like, the most important thing, the most important part of the whole game.
Right.
What'd you think of the score bug for Fox?
First off, I didn't realize it's called a bog.
A bug.
Did you know? I called it a bug.
It is a bug.
Well, I don't know. They were making fun of me on text last night.
Who? What?
Oh, is it a bug though?
It's
is
a
it
bug, yeah.
Okay, it is a bug. I wasn't sure.
We almost had Chris saying score bog from here on out.
I swear Pete at one point texted me and was like, it bog. So, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I was tired, so I guess I wasn't reading it right. And I thought maybe I was wrong because I get stuff like that wrong all the time. I mean, hence Simmsisms.
And what is a score bug anyway? That's a good point. Like, I've never thought of that before.
But I was like, I know there's a lot of technical terms in TV that I have no idea about.
What'd you think of it?
I loved it.
Wow.
I thought it was awesome. I'm all about clean and simple.
Okay, minimal. It was definitely that.
I'm all about that. I thought just plain green with the PHI and plain red with the white KC, and then just the little white stats on the bottom. Yeah. I don't know. I kind of liked it. You not? You
I will
like
give you.
it?
There's some elements I did like. Yeah. Like I like when the stats would pop up, and some of the spacing of it. It looked like when I used to play Tecmo Super Bowl on old school Nintendo.
Sure.
I think that was a score bug they used for that. It was a little too retro. I like the logos. Give me logos and give me a little bit of flair. Like I didn't mind their last. I like their last bug better than this one.
You like the last bug?
And the numbers float. out. The numbers have no background to them, so sometimes the white numbers were getting lost into the white numbers on the field.
I saw that a few times too. I hear you there.
I wasn't in love with that. Like, hey, they did something different.
Has the public ever liked the bug that gets broken out of the Super Bowl?
I don't believe so.
And then the next year the season starts, and every network's like, this is actually a great bug. We're doing the exact same thing, and then the whole world's back on it again. Right?
My son goes, you know where they're talking about this bug right now? I go, where? He goes, Twitter. He's like, they're going crazy. I was like, you're probably right. I can't check anymore.
I knew they were. But yeah, I did like that. I thought the pregame show was phenomenal.
I didn't see much of it.
I really enjoyed it. Okay. Mahomes sitting with Brady was all-timer. Gronk with Travis Kelce was also funny and an all-timer.
Yeah.
They had a skit of Mahomes is Batman, and he kills everybody with throwing his little sidearm throws, right? It was hilarious. And then Jalen Hurts was Two-Face, and one side of his face said, "Throw the ball," and then he would turn the other side of it and go, "Tush push," right? It was there was some really, really good stuff, let alone how cool it looked in the French Quarter, just with all the fans walking around and all that. Great setting. I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed halftime too.
Kendrick Lamar?
I did. I mean, first off, I like Kendrick Lamar. I don't love that song about Drake. I think he took some low blows there, okay? I'm not in love with that.
He didn't sing that in the Super Bowl,
He did. He sang that song, Not Like Us. Yes. Where were you? Were you not watching the Super Bowl?
I mean, I don't know. You know me. I'm not a music guy, so I was just like, that must be Kendrick Lamar, is what I said.
He sang that, and I found the whole thing to be kind of, quite entertaining, really.
Okay, all right. So you approve.
I did. I approved. I mean, really, from what it sounds like, the people that don't approve are like people that have never listened to rap, and they're like, "What's he saying?" And I want to be like, "Yeah, you're an old white guy that doesn't know what he's saying." I know.
Yeah. So next year, it's going to be your responsibility, Matt Casey, Pete.
Yeah.
You got it. It's our Super Bowl next year.
I know.
Were you writing things down? Were you thinking of taking pointers or whatever?
No, I was not.
You're like, that's not my job.
That's not my job. I enjoyed sitting on the couch. I did think about man, next year we'll be in San Francisco getting ready for Super Bowl 60. That's cool, everything that way. But yesterday I was. I love yesterday, and for yesterday to kind of feel after Kendrick Lamar got done singing, like, wow, that's about it. That's the end of the entertainment for today, right? Yeah. That hurt my heart a little bit last evening, and kind of actually was like Debbie Downer, put me in a bad mood.
I'm
really,
sure.
It really was.
Sure. Well, you know what'll get you in a good mood?
Yeah.
13,322 draft profiles.
Can't wait. Start it now.
I hear there's a lot of good offensive interior linemen this year, so get ready to dive into those. We got to take a break. When we come back, we're going to bring back Damn OK, because the homies have tweeted some Damn OKs, maybe some props for some of the under-the-radar people or the over-the-radar people. We can still give them some more love here, so we'll do that coming up next. Welcome back to Chris Simms Unbuttoned Super Bowl 59 recap. Chris is back from a week in New Orleans. We'll talk about what all went down there a little bit later on, but we want to give some more love, and this is what we do. You're the Peter Pan, right? Or the Robin Hood.
Yeah, Robin Hood. Robin Hood.
What's Peter Pan do? Does he do anything similar?
No, he didn't do much with football. I don't know.
Neither did Robin Hood, but yeah, we use him somehow.
I like Robin Hood because we take from the rich and we give to the poor. Right.
I'm sure Peter Pan would have done that too.
Peter Pan, yeah. I mean, he can fly and has magic, and I don't know what else he can do there, but
he would have used it for good. They're the same in my book. Unsung heroes for Super Bowl 59, and for that we bring back the Damn OK song.
Damn, I'm okay. Damn, I'm okay. Yeah, no, I mean, yes, I'm okay. The legal gambleizing. Oh, baby. I am Chris Simms. I'm okay. Damn. Okay.
Damn OK to these unsung heroes. One name, I don't know, maybe you mentioned him already, but he was part of that
really
front
have yet.
For the Eagles. This one comes from, Icobus P? I think we got it.
Yeah.
Milton Williams is going to be a rich man come March.
Yes, he is. Again, this is how good they are.
Right.
I mean, he doesn't start most weeks. I mean, it's Jordan Davis, it's Jalen Carter. Then he comes in. That's incredible. And yes, this is one where when you're the Eagles and you have this many talented players and you just won the Super Bowl, and free agent evaluators turn on the film and they're going to go, oh my gosh, holy shit, is Milton Williams good? Yes, I don't think they'll be able to keep him, honestly. That's one where you look at and go, hey, they got other guys they're going to have to pay. They can't pay everybody, right? I don't know. If they pay him, I have a hard time thinking they're going to be able to pay maybe a Jordan Davis after that too. So that'll be interesting to see where that goes. Maybe they do pay him, and maybe that gives us a little inkling about maybe some other guys they might not mess with, down the road. But yeah, Louisiana Tech, right? I mean, I remember when he came out,
Louisiana
he was
Tech,
impressive.
3rd round in 2021, and had a huge role in the Super Bowl.
He was funny because, remember, he's the guy that was drafted where they showed inside the Eagles' war room, and the D-line coach or somebody was a little mad because they traded down just a few picks and they lost their chance to get Liam McNeil on the Lions, if you remember this. And then, therefore, the Lions took Liam McNeil, and this guy was mad and kind of like, I wanted a Liam McNeil, and telling Howie Roseman. And he's like, oh, you're going to like Milton Williams. He's like, I like him, but he's not Liam McNeil.
Yeah, I think but
they did
right
okay.
They did okay, but they were probably both right in that situation.
Seriously, they were.
They do have Jalen Carter. Phillips, wide receiver, 84, says, did Nagy put too much emphasis on Jalen Carter just for the rest of the Eagles' D-line to dominate, or did Fangio just get everything correct on the night? So you think the O coordinator, the offensive coaches for the Chiefs focused too much on Jalen?
Yeah, it definitely looked like they tried to make sure they had two bodies on him. I don't think it was too much emphasis. I don't think there's such a thing because he's going to win just about every one-on-one matchup he can get. They were in a tough spot. There was no matchup that was really great. There was nothing. Joe Tooney had been good, really, right? There was nothing to complain about, but you saw this was against a group of guys that were in another class that he was not ready for. So I don't know if there was really anything you could do in the moments. And like I said to you earlier, when I watch the film, I'll, of course, have a better feel for exactly what they did. But like I said to you earlier, I mean, there was plenty of plays where people were doubled everywhere.
Yeah. And
it still didn't matter. Like I said, he gets sacked one time by Josh Sweat. It's 7-on-4, and he got there in 1.5 seconds. And that's just, there's no way you can win playing quarterback that way.
Let's go to this one for Silver Cat 1986. He says, I think the impact of the Philly O-line and Saquon flies under the radar, only because Saquon did not break one off. But he was impactful, made Kansas City adjust their scheme, hence Smith, Brown, Dotson, Goddard effect.
I would totally agree with that. Right? Where did you see this? Where are we at here?
I just skipped ahead. I just went to Saquon Barkley.
Okay. I don't know. Oh, there it is. Yeah, sorry. I would totally agree with that, too. Silver Cat 1986. Okay. Yeah, everything you saw successful from the Eagles' offense last night still stems from Saquon Barkley in the run game. Mm-hmm. Again, if we could show screenshots or plays of the big pass plays, right? They're playing defenses where, yes, I mean, it's everybody's at the line of scrimmage. We're worried about stopping Saquon, which therefore gave Jalen Hurts in the pass game the best possible looks possible. Yeah. And that certainly was an impact. Kansas City had to adjust and bend the way they play to such an extent that it left them just so vulnerable in so many other areas.
So it's hard to say that was the wrong way to go for Steve Spagnuolo, and it worked,
yeah,
right? Seeing what Saquon did the rest of the season.
Exactly right.
And it probably, no matter what they did, it wouldn't have mattered because the offense was so dominated.
Right.
But in retrospect, do you think it was the wrong thing to do for the Chiefs?
I don't think so. I think it was right. You let them start controlling the game with their run game and getting that going, you're in deep trouble.
You take your chances with
you take your chances with the passes. You hope that from everything you've watched all year, what's more likely? Saquon has the off day or Jalen Hurts has the off day? If you watch back 17 games, you go, yeah, Jalen Hurts would definitely be the guy you would pick that could maybe have the off day. So let's stop Saquon, and hopefully Jalen plays the way he did against the Packers or the Rams, where he's just not on his game. That's what they were hoping for. But that was, not even close, and Jalen was on his game.
Milan Taylor wants to give some love to Jake Elliott. He goes, he was dead center on most of his kicks.
He was.
He's been getting pushed back 5 yards on most of them.
I was sitting there rooting against him a few times just because I was like, I want the Chiefs to hang in here.
Totally.
Like, miss one, shank one, right? Just so you do that. But, on his game, I mean, really been one of the best kickers in football for quite some time, and this year just was a little rough. So,
the 50 yards,
good credit.
What was he, 1 of 8 on 50-yard field
like
goals
that.
before he made that one and the Super Bowl? I mean, he had a great game.
Great game.
Very well done. Yeah, there was a point late in the game where I said to my parents, I was like, the Chiefs can block this and take it back for a touchdown, and they still have no chance to win. And that was very true, and they didn't do that.
Yeah.
This one comes from Pete, producer Pete. It's the Peter Special Teamer of the Week. I mean, Pete loves punters. He loves he loves gunners. He just loves special teams. He's always been this way. He says, Braden Mann.
Yeah.
Just 2 punts, but 1 sky high. 1 tackled at the 12, and another one out of bounds at the 6. 48 yards per punt with 5 return yards.
They were big. Yeah, and the Chiefs, on the other hand, couldn't pin the Eagles down there. They kept just knocking
2
in the end zone.
touchbacks that bounced immediately into the end zone.
That second punt that
Tommy Townsend no longer there.
Yeah, that second punt by Braden Mann that went out of bounds at the 6. The next play was Mahomes getting hit in the back, throwing the interception over the middle, which led to the 2-play, 14-yard drive, touchdown, night, see you later. So, yeah, complete effort there. The Eagles are a complete team. As we've said, it's the most complete team in football. It's hard to find really a weakness on their roster or in anything they do. Their only weakness was the thing we talked about a lot through the year, was their simplicity. And good for them, and not like bending or bowing to people like me who are going do more and just going, no, we think if we just stay the course and when we do what we do at our highest level, we will be unbeatable. And that's where I give Nick Sirianni and Vic Fangio a lot of credit for their approach yesterday.
So now everyone will watch the tape, right? And you're just like, all right, what do we do? And they go, there's nothing we can do because they have better players than we do. But no, what do you think? Like if every other NFL team this whole offseason looks at this Eagles offense and defense, like what are the possible thoughts and strategies or
well, you've got to be able to get them out of like playing cover 4 or 2 deep safeties, right? And there's certainly teams like, again, this is where, did we do top 5 rosters before this year, right?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, and I don't believe I put the Chiefs in the top 5. I don't think so. I don't know. I don't even think we did last year either. We said they were really good, but I don't know if we put them in the top 5. I think last year we did. This year we might not have. I can't remember. But either way.
Yeah, I don't know that we did.
I don't know if we did either, right? But like either way, to your point, like a team like your Detroit Lions, when you're healthy, you're going to give. They're going to have to. They're not going to be able to play the way they played yesterday. There's certainly some teams out there that have the personnel that can stress Philadelphia's defense out more than the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, again, we can get into Baltimore and what maybe they could have done. Detroit, sure. Tampa Bay's got some aspects about their offense that certainly can hang in there. And as we saw, the Rams, they can do that too. And Green Bay, you know my thoughts about them. Them being one of the younger teams in all of football too. I would be shocked if they're not in the mix of things next year in the NFC with Philadelphia.
Let me see who I had as my roster matrix here. Yeah. I had the 49ers first.
Right.
I had the Jets second.
Yeah.
Yeesh.
Well,
I had the Lions third.
Right.
I had the Browns, and then I had the Eagles.
This was this year.
That was this year?
All right, okay. I don't know why I can't remember doing it this year.
That was mine. I don't know what yours were.
Yeah, right.
But I just aggregated like PFFs. I did a couple different sources, like their top units. And
sure.
Dolphins were there. Ravens were there. Then the Chiefs.
Right.
Packers.
Yep.
Bears.
Yep, gotcha.
Overrated.
Yeah, but those are the things that again they're going to have to go back to the drawing board and probably make some adjustments to the O-line. They got to get another big guy on the defensive line. There has to get another big guy in the middle on that side of the ball. They definitely have to address. I know we're going to have Rashee Rice back.
Yeah.
But they got to address trying to get another receiver, somebody that helps out Mahomes a little bit. Again, we've swept so much stuff under the rug with them because they just win and they keep it going, right? But they've become that team we talk about sometimes where this is who they are, and they do it almost always. 12 plays, 80 yards, 10 plays, 65 yards, right? It's always a long drive. They never make big touchdown plays anymore, right?
Yeah.
We don't see that. It's just hard to play that way. It's hard to beat the best teams in football always that way. Like you need a few drives, as we always talk about, 4 plays, 80 yards, 3 plays, 65 yards. They never have that. And I think we all just go, well, they got Mahomes, they'll figure it out. But that's what's not fair, because then we get into games like this and we're like, what's the matter? Our 4-yard passes aren't open today? No. Yeah. Oh, well, make magic then. Oh, okay. Yeah, no big deal. I'll make magic against the biggest, craziest ever on the defensive side of the ball.
What do you think, too, with Travis Kelce? Because he said during this week that he's going to come back next year, no matter what happens in this game. Watching him, I'm like, I don't know that I would put him in the top. I don't know. Is this too crazy? Top 15?
No,
like top 10?
He's definitely
receiving
not in the top
tight
5. Yeah,
he's definitely not in the top.
And I was like, top 10 either.
That's what I'm saying.
No, I know. You don't want. It sounds disrespectful, but this is why, like, when people were like, "How could the Texans not double him over the middle?" It's because like everybody's watching film, going, "Why? Why would we double him? He can't get away from anybody, right?" So we're not going to do that, And yeah, we saw yesterday where they had a plan, and they were very good, it looked like, at passing people off over the middle of the field. And between that and Mahomes not having enough time, I don't think Travis Kelce would have told the truth if he was thinking about retiring, right, last week, because he wasn't going to make that the story and the distraction.
That's true.
So I would think he's going to think about this a little bit. I know he's going to make good money if he comes back for one more year. He's got one more year on the deal, but damn, he's making good money not doing it too, okay? He's raking it in right now,
right?
Whatever he wants. I think it's 50-50. I think there's a good chance we might never see Travis Kelce again on the football field.
Okay.
I don't think that's crazy.
Thank you for clarifying on the football field.
Yeah.
I got worried that my heart sunk for a second there. All right. Well, that's something to watch. All right, we're going to take a break.
All right.
When we come back, we're going to get Chris's most embarrassing stories from New Orleans. Welcome back to Chris Simms Unbuttoned, brought to you by nobody now again. For the 10th time, we've lost our sponsor. No,
yes.
That's the way things go here. They come and go, Deals are made, deals are not made. So it's just like
I still like how
sale.
You're hiding your energy drink there. It's very well done.
Well,
by you.
hey, maybe we're in negotiations with whoever supplies my drinks here. Yeah, there's a little peek there.
There it is.
Hey, we got an
What's
open
this
spot.
one got in it? Gummy bears, gummy worms. What other crap you got in this one?
I wish. It's explosive energy that you can feel.
Oh.
So this is a little different.
Yep.
Enhanced endurance with 0 artificial colors.
Damn.
So there you go.
Yeah, you
like
seem ready today. You do. You're ready to go.
I'm ready to go. All right. So now this is what I want to know. I was there a day and a half with you. It was great. I loved it.
Yep.
Went out to dinner with you and Matt one night, and then the whole dinner with the crew the night before. I appreciate getting to go out there and see what it's like. It really is cool. I mean, like, New Orleans is an awesome city.
Right.
I just when I flew in, my hotel wasn't ready, so I walked around the French Quarter in the daytime. Still was kind of sketched out. No, it was fine. And
it was.
The smell's a little weird, but it's an awesome, unique city, one of the best in America, and everything is so close.
That's why
great
you love
time.
it, right?
It was awesome. So what stands out about your week in New Orleans?
Well, the city itself, food for one.
Yeah, you're just eating the whole time.
Yeah, the food was great, and the city itself, and the fact that you could walk everywhere.
That's the best.
And that there's like for a guy in the Northeast where the rule of law is very strict in all ways, to be able to just like you're at the bar having a drink and you're like, oh wait, that's right. I can take this on the street and just walk to the next bar or restaurant. Hey bartender, can you just give me a plastic cup? Oh sure, you want to take that and go? And it's like you're like, what? That's crazy. That's like I still couldn't get used to that.
Yeah.
I
and
love
it's not
doing
just drinks.
And then Smokey walking around the streets, of course, was no problem too. I mean, really, one of the funniest moments I probably had of the week. And I don't know if I told you this or not. I was in a parking lot, I think on Tuesday night.
Okay.
I was smoking because I was just like, I didn't want to smoke walking around the town everywhere. So I was like, let me just find a little quiet nook here where I can just smoke in peace and look at my phone for a second. And I'm there in the parking lot. I see this white truck pull in. He's staring at me. The guy gets out of the car. He just keeps staring and looking. And I'm like, what? Is this guy a cop? Is he about to come over and give me a hard time? This guy won't leave me alone. Like, what the hell is this? Like, few minutes go by. He's got a work bag with him. He comes over. He's like, I got to come over and meet you, Chris Simms, especially since you're smoking a joint right now. I mean, I can't believe I'm witnessing this right now. I'm such a big fan. And he was like, can I roll one up right now and smoke one with you? And I was like, no, I got to go to dinner. I'm sorry. I don't have time to roll that up and do all that. But that was a really funny moment. I had that a few times throughout the week where like I'd be walking on the street and maybe smoking, and people were like, I can't believe I'm actually getting to see you smoke in person, right? So that was hilarious.
It's not just something you say on the pod.
Not something I say on the pod.
Well, I was in a restaurant with you, and the waiter and they wanted to take a picture with you. I was like, Chris was the most famous person I was around while we were there, and there were a lot of famous people walking around there.
It was Monday of Super Bowl.
They hadn't all gotten in yet. That's true.
Got to see like Seal up close. I didn't get to meet him, but got to meet Olivia Del Copo. That was really cool.
Okay.
Here, Olivia Del Copo is like married to Christian McCaffrey. She's a huge.
Okay.
She was, I believe, Miss America, maybe Miss Universe, one of the two.
You got to meet her. She came on your show.
I got to meet her. She was on the podcast I did with Florio Wednesday night at Pat O'Brien. She was there filming some little segment behind the bar about how they make hurricanes.
Okay.
So I got to meet her, and of course, my dad played with her husband's dad, and you know, her husband's coach is my good friend and Shanahan. So, you know, I just introduced myself because she was like 4 feet away from where we were.
Cool.
That was cool. Okay. Funniest part, other than like seeing superstar football players and all that, I took our young ladies, Mackenzie and Allie, out for dinner to Emerald's.
Okay.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
And that was funny because here I am, 44-year-old guy with two mid-20s girls.
Right.
And I could tell the restaurant was like, what is the deal with this crew here? And they kept giving me the side eye.
Yeah.
And they were like, what is it? Is he dating one of them? Is he dating both of them? What the hell is going on here? And then finally someone recognized me. And then they finally realized these people work with me,
right?
And I felt like they stopped being so awkward. But it was like I could tell they were like trying to figure this out, like what's going on here with this guy and these two girls here, and who are they, and why are they doing here in our fine establishment?
Yeah, exactly.
So I got a chuckle out of that. One of those places where they bring you into the kitchen. It's such a nice place, right?
Yeah.
And and I could feel like everybody in there was like, who is this guy with these girls?
Here?
What's going on here? Right.
So a lot of rumors about you now percolating through New Orleans, whether you're smoking or who you're going to dinner with. I do like all of that stuff. What about, I know you saw Joe Montana you had on the show. You interviewed him.
I did.
I'm sure you've met him before.
I have met him many, many times.
Deion Sanders you had.
Deion was amazing. That was the first time I really interviewed Deion. I've met Deion before quickly a few other times in my life. But
he's why you're number 2.
What? It is why. I mean, no doubt. That was like legend moment, really. That day between him, Justin Jefferson, right? I'm missing somebody else that we had on Friday that was really special. But yeah, we had a group, Tyreek Hill, that day, which was also awesome. I never got to really meet him or talk to him.
Oh, cool.
So that was neat. Let alone like some of my ex-teammates. I mean, did you see Pac-Man come on with us?
Yeah, I did see that.
I mean, Pac-Man gave me weed on the show, on live TV, and said a bunch of crazy stories that made us laugh. So we had a lot of great guests, football, not football, personalities, whatever. It was a good week.
What did you learn that surprised you about any of the players or about some teams? Or was there a question you're like, oh, I didn't think you'd answer it like that? Or some person was cooler or different than you thought. Anything?
I did learn a few things too. Just on the spot, I don't know
just
if I can
a lot of drinking.
remember. It was almost 50 interviews we did. Right?
Oh my gosh!
So that's a lot of interviews. The other thing, the best story of the week was Ricky Williams.
Okay.
Ricky Williams talking about how he went to the Saints. They had a preseason game. They got home late, and I think they were staying somewhere like where they were doing training camp. Mike Ditka, they got back at like 11. He gave them a 2 o'clock curfew. They were at the club, right? And they were looking at their watch going, oh, no, it's 1:50 or 1. First, it was like 1:30, but they saw Ditka also there in the club.
So they're like, okay.
So they're like, we're okay. Then they saw 1:55, and they're like, well, Ditka's still here, so we're still here. And Ditka then, I guess it's like 1:59, got on the mic and was like, 4 o'clock curfew, because he wanted to stay too, right? And that made me laugh so much. So that was one of the great stories from Ricky Williams, who, of course, is a big reason why I went to the University of Texas.
I mean, it's a huge thing. Like, one, you like to be involved in the Super Bowl week, and it's great to be out there, and you do great shows. But we don't necessarily get out of the building all that often, right? You're here, you're doing Sunday Night Football
we're
here.
Studio people.
So it's like you're 1 or 2 opportunities a year to really get face-to-face with a lot of these people.
I love that. I love the Combine because you get those opportunities too. Yeah. And then I know we're going to the owners meeting this year as well, which to me is another great opportunity to be around some people that face to face that, hey, I texted this person or I talked to them on the phone a few times a year, but it's nice to be in person and go, hey, let's actually look at each other in the eye and have a burger and like talk about more than just like quick texts about football, right? So that's where I look forward to all these opportunities, and hopefully I'll have a few more of them as we go on.
Did Tyreek know that you've been one of his biggest fans?
He knew I was one of his bigger fans, and he knew that I was also the labeled Tua hater. And he stuck up for Tua big time. Right, even before we came on air, he was like, "Tua's nice, man." He's like, "You're not giving him enough credit." He goes, "Tua's nice, right?" So he was giving it to me a little bit, which I of course appreciate.
Did he change your mind?
Absolutely not.
Okay,
no. I know there's things about Tua that are good. I get that. I still have my concerns, and I didn't really get to voice that to him and challenge him there.
Why would you want to do that? Right,
we're all having a good time. On the show again. Right.
Yeah. My final question: Did you ever have the wings from the Bounty table over there? Because that's their big sponsorship. You get the wings and you have the Bounty towels.
They smelled good.
Yeah.
But I don't think they were warm enough, and I'm just not a cold wing guy. That's not happening. It's really not happening. It's got to be at least lukewarm for me to get it in there.
Okay.
Cold meat. At
cold meat
9:30 in the morning.
Bad.
Not necessarily what I'm looking for.
And you want to save your stomach for all those great restaurants in New Orleans
too.
Right.
Exactly right. So you know where I was at.
Cool. I love it. That was good.
We're back Wednesday, right? We're back Wednesday or Thursday? What day do we say? We're going Wednesday, Pick 6 pod. We're going to break down the Super Bowl a little more. I got to tell you some things that I find interesting from the film tomorrow. I wouldn't be doing my duty. We wouldn't be the Chris Simms Unbuttoned podcast.
You're going in the barn one final time for a game.
One final time before I start the 13,000 list of players for the draft.
Are you looking forward to that, or do you need to take a little bit of a break?
I'm ready for a break. I am. Yeah. But I look forward to it, but I also don't look forward to the never-ending list of chipping away at it, right? There's certain guys where I'm like, I can't wait to watch Cam Ward. I can't wait to watch Travis Hunter and really see what they're all about. Yeah. But at the same time,
there are 5 guys, and then the other
500, that's the problem. But all right, so we'll be back Wednesday, Pick 6 pod. We'll hit on a bunch of things. There's news out there right now too. We didn't even get to.
Oh yeah,
right. There's certain topics I think we got to hit on Wednesday for sure.
We'll do that.
I'll give you a few more nuggets of what happened in Super Bowl 59 and things that jump out to me, and then we'll see if some other news apps just breaks in general over the next 2 days. But you know where to find us. Please subscribe, rate, review. I hope everybody, for the most part, enjoyed Super Bowl 59. It's always a great day. It's cool that people have had today off too. I mean, at least up here, there's a lot of people with winter break. I don't know if your kids started yet, but mine did.
No.
But either way, football season is over, and I am sad, and I will be depressed for a few days until I go see the Caribbean Sun next week, and then I'll be like, oh, damn, the hell with football. This is great.
Who needs football?
But everybody, tune in and check us out. Please submit questions or whatever else, and I'm stumbling my ass off down the stretch here.
And it's Olivia Culpo, not
it's Olivia. I wanted to add the day. It's Olivia De Culpo. I don't know what it is. I do the dumbest shit sometimes in the English language. Peace out. I'm out of here. Hope you're well. Clap it up, homie.
Clap it up.
Thanks for watching Chris Simms Unbuttoned. Hey, just because the season's over, it doesn't mean we're over. We ain't going anywhere. The NFL never dies.
We're staying right here. Hit subscribe. We got every NFL move. We'll react to that. Plus, Chris has got 4,719 draft prospect profiles to do.
Thanks again for watching. Subscribe. You know where to find us. Peace out, homies.